Pastor Fred Phelps had 13 children. In his words, 9 of them are good and 4 are bad. His words. According to Pastor Phelps, his son Nathan is one of the bad ones. We interviewed Nathan during a recent visit to St. Louis. Some of the children and grandchildren of Westboro insist this is a life of purpose, and they would have it no other way. But Fred's son Nathan remembers it being a cruel, even abusive environment as a child.
I think that he's a sociopath. I think he fits that.
Why?
Just the way he was, his inability to empathize with others, his calculated cruelty, and then laughing at the harm that it causes. You know, I saw that time and again growing up with him. He was extremely violent. He would beat us with his fists and with his knees and his feet.
Nathan is one of 3 children who left the church. He says a 4th one broke away from the family but returned to Westboro, even though he says she is still shunned. Nathan hasn't talked with his father since he left home on his 18th birthday.
We ceased to exist. We were irrelevant to him.
He wrote you off.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
I'm not going to talk about that. I've talked all I'm going to talk about that. Everybody in the world knows what I believe about that. Raised 13 kids. You ought to give that a try sometime before you even question what I did raising my children. And if you had 9 jewels like I've got, you would be so thankful to the Lord. You know, most people, look, did you ever try to put 13 children through law school? Try that on sometime. Are you married, by the way?
I'm married and have 2 children, yes.
And are they in law school yet?
Well, not yet, no. You don't want to talk about that.
What is there to say? Look, they haven't seen them for 35 and 40 years, and I'm supposed to talk about them? All I remember was little runny-nosed rugrats, 13 strong, trying to make it through, get them educated and get them right with the Lord and all that. Treated every last one of them exactly the same. And how is it that one turns out bad, one turns out good? That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, if you want to push it, you're going to be pushing it somewhere besides this office.
Nathan Phelps left Westboro Baptist more than 3 decades ago. Now he lives in Canada. He travels, he writes, and spends much of his time speaking out against the church. Why do you think they're going to military funerals and protesting this way?
I think that to some degree it's for the very reason that they say they're doing it, that they want to announce to the world that, you know, to America and by extension the world, that they're doomed because they're embracing gay rights. But I also think that there's some personal motivation there, that, you know, they enjoy the attention. I don't think it's all just one motivation. They'll tell you that it's all about, we're getting this message out, and the more attention we can get, the more inflammatory we can be, that's going to get more media, and that's going to get the word out there to more people, and that's their stated motivation. But I think it's also somewhat about the attention they get.
One of the things that stood out to me about your father was that he was extremely intelligent, particularly during a conversation. He was extraordinarily quick with his observations. He was also very biting in his commentary.
Right.
And I didn't see a lot of grace or compassion with your father.
I would agree with that, and that you know, biting, that insensitivity, or whatever terminology you want to use, that we saw clearly in him that he, as far as he was concerned, he understood the world. He understood things differently and better than anyone else did, and he just didn't have any time or interest in the meandering mental processes of the average person. He just was dismissive of them, and I think that's part of what you see when you communicate with him.
He thought he was intellectually better
Absolutely.
than the other people?
Absolutely.
And that's one reason why he behaved that way.
Sure. And
smartest guy in the room syndrome.
Yeah, and so he goes out there, he's got this idea in his head that he's got it figured out, and the fact that he stands alone in the world with this particular view of things is evidence to him. It just supports that idea that he alone has got it figured out. He's got the capacity to understand things, and average humans just don't have it.
Have you ever tried to reconcile with your father?
Again, it doesn't compute, Craig.
Have you tried?
No, because...
Has he tried?
No. Because
Does it matter
to try
you?
would be irrelevant. And again, I have to go back to what we learned, what we saw. That's a fool's errand to even consider such talk. And I had these kind of conversations over the years with friends when I tried to explain to them before they were propelled into the spotlight. I would try to explain who my father was and how far down that road he had gone. And oftentimes folks would say, you know, you're just being stubborn. You just need to approach him. You need to mend fences. You don't get it. There's no such thing.
Do you think they get it now?
I think my friends, oh, absolutely.